welcome back, everyone, to Rock Radio USA, episode number 2. And tonight, Tuesday, a fine, cold, chilly, very, really chilly, cold out there. Everyone, get your sweater on, get your socks, double socks.
Double sweater.
It's freezing. But we are here up in the stew, and we have an exciting, very fun, and super thrilled to have back on, in the studio here tonight with us. We got Garret Foster.
You said it right. Good job.
Thank you.
No one ever says it wrong, but thank you.
I think if it's like on a track record of I think I'm I would say 0 for 2 with wrong names. Usually, I think I'd say I'd get 70% of them wrong, and the other 27% correct.
I just had to give you the blandest name possible. I was like, my name is made to be said by people.
Yeah, it's sick, dude.
I think last week you went 1 for 5 on Jenna Simon.
Yeah, dude. I said I must have pronounced that wrong several times.
Either.
But first try tonight. We're back up and running, and we are cooking with gasoline. We got the seance up.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's go, man.
Get my grandpa up in
But
here.
dude, thank you for bringing this wonderful freaking musical piece into our humble abode.
Oh yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've been playing this for about 2 years, but it's funny because when I was a kid, I started playing guitar normally, right? Yeah. I went to lessons. I had the best guitar teacher in the world, and I'm going to shout him out right now, Hunter Pendergast up in Mundelein.
Shout out to Hunter Pendergast.
Yeah, so I got to say that because I owe a lot of my ability to find my own musical identity and navigate this from his tutelage. But with that said, I did a lot of jazz, and then I'd go hang out with my grandpa. My grandpa's a hillbilly. Or was, rest in peace. But
shout out, Grandpa.
Yeah, so I remember one time when everybody left, he took my guitar and he started explaining to me how to make open chords and stuff. I didn't know my grandpa knew shit about music.
Wow.
I came to learn out that he...
What made you decide to be yo, Grandpa, why made you ask him about music?
He started talking to me because everybody had left the house. And so he was like, I'm going to tell you what I know about music. And it turns out my grandpa played a lot of piano. He had a very abusive father who was a hobo in the Great Depression and just was you're good at piano, so you're going to be good at piano. And he
kind of really installed that into him.
He stopped playing.
In a violent way. Ooh.
Yeah, probably in a violent way. We, depends on which side of the family's watching this, but those who know him know that it was within the realm of possibility easily. But he never talked about music, but there was one time when no one was around because he didn't like playing for people, but he knew I was into it, and he turned the guitar over, and he taught me how to open tune it into an open chord. And he explained how chords work, and he even pulled out the piano to demonstrate all the concepts with me. He taught me some basic theory. It was just in an afternoon, but he taught me how to down tune to an open D chord. And then he brought out old photos later, as I got older, of his dad playing, and they had a horrible relationship. It wasn't good, but the one thing they connected over was when his dad played music, and he played lap style guitar in the 1920s, as was the style in the time. And my grandpa, he got me the old fist pack, which he used as a slide, but it was really for punching people in bars.
Oh, hell yeah.
Here, hold this.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Right?
That'll do it.
Oh, yeah. So he gets me that, and obviously he teaches me how to use it as a weapon, too, because, that guy just... if there was a lesson to be taught, he would teach it, even if it was, here's how you knock a tooth out.
Super
It's
cool.
a grandpa's job, That's what they're there for.
You got that right there. So he'd show me how to play lap style guitar, and it's funny. I'd practice when no one was around, and it would be when no one was around because I wanted to be a big fancy jazz guy. I was learning giant steps and fucking chord melodies. I was doing Joe Pass stuff at 16, and
wow.
But no one was around. I was just a full-on hillbilly when it came to music. I'd wait for no one to be in the house, then I'd check the doors, and it was when you're 16, you're trying to hide the stash or something. Whatever your stash was, I understand that I have some students out there, and they probably Google my name. If that's how you got here, stop, leave. But anyways, I'd turn the guitar around. I'd start learning how to play lap style.
Yeah.
And then when I got into college, I got really into playing like that. Once again, when no one was around, because I was just kind of I felt too personal. And I mean, people weren't into country at the time. But
yeah, it seems like it's having its wave comeback again. Once again, there was a big like country wave in 2016.
Yep.
And it seems like another massive one is coming in. Woo! It's a big one too.
Urban cowboys everywhere, but I get to slip in the book because I play this. I got him from the country. I'm from Mundelein. I'm not from the country.
That's a beautiful way to be introduced to it. It sounds like the family has history, music history there, and that's deep, man. That's cool. Thanks for sharing.
And that's like
it's a special way to be introduced to it,
And that's why I wanted to be on here, honestly, because like the whole reason I play music, there's three reasons. One, because I got cerebral palsy and it was seen as therapy for the left side of my body. The other one is fucking like a challenge. And the other one is family. And I didn't like playing music for a while because it seemed so selfish. I wanted to do something that like, contributed to society. I had this very Christian mentality of like you must sacrifice, and it was when my grandpa was dying. He'd forgotten everybody's name, and he was on hospice, and we knew he had like a day or two left, and I had just driven up to see him, and they had me pull out his dad's guitar, which I had restored, and they had me turn it onto the side, and I played all the songs that I used to play for him, and these were songs that I used to play for him. St. Louis Blues, shut up a lot. There's one he always wanted me to learn called Indian Love Call, and I was like, that's kind of racist. And I want to act like I'm better than my hillbilly roots, but I'm not.
Hillbilly roots. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
man. Yeah, man.
They go deep. Racist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, man. I was the one kid walking around with a mullet, gigging frogs out of a retention pond growing up. Like,
wow. Yo, but now that's like the thing. Like everybody's like the kids. I went to a music fest like a year ago, and it's like all the cool kids had like Camaro cut mullets.
Yeah.
And,
what the hell?
They had like girls hanging out with them and stuff too. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. It's so weird, man. Growing up, and I'm like, I can wear a mullet and wear plaid, and I can even limp around, and people are gonna like call me gimp and kick me. Well, they can call me gimp if I'm not cool with them, but like,
right? It's totally. And I think even Floyd's barbershop had like a deal going on for like the mullet. It's totally
$5 Camaro cuts.
And like, I'll be real. Like growing up in Mundelein, I'd see like the Mexicans rocking a mullet every now and then. But
they've got those perfect like Edgar mullets. It's
man, it works better
with like bowl cut mullet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Edgar mullets. I mean, like, man, like growing up in Mundelein, like I didn't have a lot of white people connected with the rootsiness that I was down with. Like they weren't going out and like skinning deer with dad or like gutting fish with grandpa. But you hang out with all the Mexicans and they're totally down with that stuff. You can find your people who aren't your people.
Yeah.
Plus the tamales.
Oh my God, right? Oh, dude. To my Iowan family, who I'm going to send this over to. One, I apologize for swearing. I'm back in Illinois, though, and we do that a lot here. But I'm also going to say
a lot of cussing in the shy.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, we'll beat him up.
Yeah, it's true. You got to be tough in Chicago. But,
we swear here.
To my Iowan family, you got to get on tamales. It's corn wrapped around pork. You should be on that like yesteryear. But I was playing guitar for my grandpa as he lay dying, and I was playing all the old songs that his dad played for him, that I played for him as a kid. Mm-hmm. And he turned to me and he was like, "Oh, you're pretty good. I want a beer." And we've never seen my grandpa drink ever. Like he didn't drink. The family shame is we told stories that his father was bootlegging and playing guitar for Al Capone. He very well may have, because they did have there was some knowledge of how to build a still and ferment, your apple cider. But we found out later he was most likely the one breaking the barrels. Which, when you really get into prohibition, those are like the bigger thugs. And not in the fun way than like the mob. And it was, he was in Chicago, so there were some mob connections, but it was just kind of like, I forgot where I was going with this. Mm-hmm. I'm just from trashy hillbillies, but I was playing for my grandpa. And he's laying there dying, and he asks for a beer, and he tells me I play well, and then they tell him, like, "Do you know who that is?" And he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on so many medications, his brain's melting, like, and like, "That's your grandson." He goes, "Oh, what was your name?" And that was like the last thing. Man. He remembered the music, I just had this moment where I realized, like, my whole life I've been like, music is such a selfish endeavor, and I realized, I think I was wrong. Yeah. You can reach people with music. It can do things that I didn't understand were possible, and And then I noticed, like, I always played lap steel for my grandpa, and I converted an electric into a lap steel. I hitched up the action with a little piece. It was COVID. We all went crazy, so I took this beat up guitar. Then my guitar teacher, Hunter Pendergast. I'm just gonna shout him out again. Amazing.
Shout out to Hunter.
Yeah. He built me a guitar out of junked pieces once, and I never knew what to do with it. So I took this thing, played it on its side, stuck a piece in the action, restrung the whole thing, and used it as a lap steel. And I was playing it for my grandma after my grandpa passed, and my Nana just kind of turns to me. She goes, "You know, I never cared."
Shout out to Nana.
Yeah, shout out to Nana.
Shout out to Nanas.
Always. Sorry again for swearing, Nana. But I will say to that, she mentioned just casually, she's like, "You know, I never cared for guitar. Like, I liked it when you played it because you're my grandson, but my favorite instrument was the pedal steel." And then I was like,
"Oh snap!"
And when
The
she
lightning light bulb goes off.
yeah, crazy little light bulb. And I was like, well, you got to know a lot of theory to play pedal steel. I did jazz. I know theory. I also don't want to play jazz.
And then you got tied.
That
back
might
in.
be like the first time I've
those
ever heard
roots.
like a competitive argument, like a coherent one for jazz, like why
Yeah.
jazz might be good.
Oh yeah, because like, and that's what's great about this instrument and the way it kind of works with like the jazz brain, quote unquote. Which like, I understand there's jazz people are gonna hear what I did to this second neck, and they're gonna like the pedal steel community might excoriate me for that because I completely restrung and redid this entire neck, so it can't play jazz.
Ooh.
But it rocks more. But
Rock
what's
it.
cool,
Rock Radio USA. Heard it here first.
What's cool, if you know
Shout
jazz,
out.
you can just sit on the pedal steel and you can be like, you can turn on your neck too,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
works. You can play a one chord. Oh my god, my grips are way off. Sorry, I did not just screw up a really basic grip, if you're watching that. So, you can do that, you hit your knees in. You can hit your 5 chord, your minor 2, your 4, 5. You can even hit a 5/7.
So when was the first time you actually played a steel?
Like steel guitar is like what you call any sort of guitar where you're using a bar, right?
Okay.
Like you can even call it slide guitar, like Derek Trucks. You can call that steel if you want to. I would. Some people would disagree with me on that.
What about Sonny Landreth if he frets behind the bar?
Wait, Sonny Landreth. I gotta get on this name.
Oh
yeah.
Are
Wait,
you
tell
not
me.
aware?
No.
He's like south of I-10. Like he's got like his album Native Stepson. He's like a white guy from southern Louisiana.
Sounds familiar.
Wicked blues, wicked Zydeco, wicked just like American music. But probably I would say the greatest slide guitar player of like Derek Trucks age, like any of these, like he's better than Derek Trucks for sure.
Really?
What he's doing is he's putting the slide on his pinky and setting the action like just right. So he's like, sliding with the slide and then fretting behind it.
I know what you're talking about.
Throwing
Yeah.
all
No,
the-
bending behind the
That's
bar.
badass.
So that's where it gets interesting. And I don't have a steel that can do that. And I will make my argument for Derek Trucks, but I'm gonna make a very
Yeah, he's
circuitous
good,
one,
too.
and I'm gonna sound like a fucking nerd when I say it. Sorry, Nana. I'm gonna sound like a huge
Shout
nerd
out
talking
to
about Derek.
Nana.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a huge nerd when I start talking Derek Trucks, but his ear is better than anyone's because he can play within different temperaments flawlessly. And I've seen him play, and I'm going to make a lot of weird, crazy claims here, but I think that's why we invite musicians on, so they can act like weirdos and say crazy things.
Absolutely.
No one wants a musician who's just like, I don't know, it's my side gig. Like, it is our side gig. We already know that. You got to act like you're really into it, man. So Derek Trucks.
We
what's
want
cool-
salacious takes here. This is rock radio.
Oh, okay, yeah. Here's my salacious
Let's
take.
go.
Okay, so one, man, I'll just come out with all the hot takes. One, I think pedal steel players
go.
can get way too into country music, and they neglect that there's a huge, rich tradition of pedal steel playing within the Black Pentecostal Church. Namely,
Gospel, hell
Yeah.
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 Shout out to Gospel
Sacred Steel. If you know Robert Randolph.
and the family band.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
this guy knows what's up.
I seen him a time or two. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. That's
Keep
an
on marching.
He has his own. They have their own tunings. They have their own style of playing. They have their own way of approaching the instrument, completely different than the country conventions. So, like,
Holding it.
I'm gonna butcher it. I take a lot of inspiration from these musicians, but they're better than me, 100%.
I love them too because of the way that the band, like they'll play like that Pentecostal, like gospel, like beautiful, like high lonesome on the steel, but then they're all dressed in like baby blue FUBU suits and like E-Nice jerseys and stuff. Like,
Dude,
it's
they're
great.
so cool. And Robert Randolph is
awesome.
probably the best pedal steel player out there. But what I've noticed, I listen to Sacred Steel probably obsessively. And if you're into pedal steel, because I know you own one, right, Tommy?
I own one. Playing it's another story.
No, I'll
Might
help you
have
out
to be
sometime.
bringing it
I
to
will help you
Spice
out.
Town.
I'm a master of
guitars
whale
sometimes.
sounds. Yeah, I
Whale
could make
sounds
like
are
killer whales. I can make blue whales.
Yeah, yeah.
Any sort of like whining, wailing.
Yeah,
sound
dude, just
like that.
holler. I'll set you up. But Sacred Steel. So like okay, so if you're into pedal steel, check out, Del Grace, Delgrace, this
Del
YouTube
Grace,
channel.
okay.
So the sacred steel tradition, the Pentecostal church, right? So they use this as their lead worship instrument, and they've built up their own tradition and pedagogy around.
Say that again. You said weed worship industry?
No, I didn't. I totally forgot what I just said, but it wasn't that.
Okay.
They
I must be hearing demons. I heard weed worship.
I mean, like there's some bands like that out there. Like especially in the doom metal. But
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Doom
Metal steel guitars.
shout out to Bong Ripper. Can't be a pedal steel interview without mentioning Bong Ripper.
Keep it gothic.
But yeah, right. This is a goth show, isn't it?
It was, yeah. Well, we're trying to move past the goth.
It back a little.
We got a little out of control with the goth, and that's.
I thought it was fun. You got
Yeah,
it.
we took it too
fun,
far.
yeah.
But it's not something that you could do all the time. Like
No.
we had to make a choice. It's like the goth or it's either him or me. It's like you gotta.
I'm glad we all stayed unified here.
Yeah.
But, so the pedal steel players in the sacred steel tradition, and I listen to more than just the pedal steel players because they have people playing six strings, but they're lap steels. And a lot of times they have their own tunings that are passed down from like one teacher to the next kid. So you might have two people in the same church playing different tunings. They might playing the same tuning from the Campbell brothers probably. But one thing I notice is the way they inflect their notes. They consistently played certain notes in the scale, like the thirds and the sevenths might sound a little flatter than they do to our ears. And if you're not used to it, like I don't know if we all get into like different tuning temperaments here and all that music nerd stuff. I'm
totally.
seeing some nod. All right,
We've been tuning 444 hertz.
Yeah, dude.
Every Saturday. Jam
that's
session.
him. That's it.
I'm
not into that.
Gotta start messing with the hertz. 432. Get it back to the roots.
yeah, stuff like that, or the way they call sweetened on this, sweetened temperaments. But I was listening to these pedal steel players, and I was realizing like. I think one, because they grew up listening to that and they're inflecting the way the singers sing and the way the pedal steel is meant to be played in that tradition is almost mimicking a human voice. So they pick up on the inflection that the singers naturally arrive at because they're also fretless. Crazy observation, I know. But what you end up with is you consistently hear them playing these notes differently, and to jump in and be able to inflect your own notes like that, I'm finding extraordinarily difficult to hit the thirds the way they hit the third degree of their scale. And this is why I think Derek Trucks is great, because I'm going to get back to that. I was just sitting at work, and I had some, like, tent revival on in the background. It's like a black Pentecostal church, and you're just hearing these guys. I'm like, that guy sounds like this steel player I've heard. That guy sounds like Aubrey Gent. Check out Aubrey Gent. Or AJ Gent. Either of them are really good, although I think AJ Gent got a little soft. I like the stuff that... So anyways, these are all basement recordings. I'm just listening to this, like, basement recording of, like, a tent revival. It's like a camcorder, right?
Yeah.
And I listened to it, and I got it on in the background in my headphones, and all of a sudden someone starts playing, that guy sounds like Derek Trucks. And I go on, and I click the tab over, and it's like all these old black guys from the church, and then it's Derek Trucks in the tent revival. This video with like
albino kid.
Right? It's like, what was that?
This little albino kid with a ponytail.
Right. And he's just there, and it's got like 1,000 views. It's like not well circulated, and he's throwing down, he inflects all his notes just like they do. He's still got his distinctive tone, but like the way he's able to pick up on how they hear the notes. And then you hear Sahib Terry Bandi, the bootlegs and all that stuff, where he's playing North Indian classical music and also like getting into Qawwali music, which is from the North Pakistan tradition. He's inflecting the notes just like they are. And you listen to, I have friends from India who hear Derek Trucks.
How long would it usually typically take the average person to get to that level?
I have no clue, because I'm not there and I've been playing music a while. I've also never listened to music like Derek Trucks listened to music.
He's like a savant too.
Yeah.
Like he's got like that type of like brain that just functions. Like he was doing that when he was a child.
Yeah.
Like,
Gotcha.
He's been doing this forever.
He's broken the mold of like how music is supposed. I feel like his brain just absorbs the way things are supposed to sound really well. And that's why I think he's great, because to be able to play North Indian classical music in front of a bunch of people in India and have them go, damn, you really get our music. And that's an ambitious style.
Yeah.
And then to be Derek Trucks and throw it down with some Allman Brothers type stuff, which I love. And I will say, like that stuff appeals to me a lot more. That takes to conquer two styles. That's amazing. Then to jump into the sacred steel stuff and hear the notes the way they do. to be able, and then I heard him play like Coltrane stuff, and I was like, what? So to be able to, I understand what you're saying with the behind the bar bends. But I will also say that's if he's doing that while he's standing and playing. Is he doing that? The guy you were talking about, what was his name again?
Sonny Landreth.
Sonny Landreth. Well, I will be checking out.
Check him out. Yeah,
he's playing that while standing, right?
Yes.
All right. So here's what's interesting. That technique is actually from lap steel. So that's actually an old school technique that people in this instrument were using in the 50s before they had pedals to fake pedals. Let's see. Wow. I'll see if I can fake it here.
Taking it back to the 1950s here.
Yeah, my runners do not want me doing this, but yeah, if you see, like, if you look at my finger right here, you can do that here on this.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really common technique on lap steel. So I like what he's doing. I get what you're saying. Yeah. But I'm also going to say, I think it's really clever of him to be able to play it in a vertical position, but that's an old school technique. And it's really cool that he's bringing it back, too.
Well, I got a fretless. It's got B benders on it, or like multi benders on it. That's like that's my speed. Like
dude,
just
cool,
sort of
though.
cheats on it.
No, that's so cool though.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's for sure.
I also, my other hot take for pedal steel is a lot of pedal steel players that I encounter, they seem to think feet first instead of bar first. And I was raised playing bar first, you know. I had to teach myself, and I wasn't that good at it. I'm not going to act like I was that good at it. But, you know, my whole thing is I move the bar a lot. Like,
oh, yeah.
So like that, I move the bar around a lot. And I watch a lot of people in the Chicago scene who are, about as far along as me. I'm not no better or worse than anyone.
You're significantly better than I am. So
I was about to say, unless I'm drunk, then I like to tell everyone I'm the best ever. But that's why you stay away from booze. To any of my kids, you did Google my name are here. I'm very paranoid about that.
Kids, get off the computer. Go play sports.
Go do your homework. If you are this far into an interview with your teacher right now, I know I gave you homework.
That's some like nerd level stuff.
Yeah. So I'm doing some nerd level stuff here, but I mean, if you're not nerdy,
that's a different brand of nerd though.
Dude.
Like that's
you gotta be a nerd. Like, oh my gosh, switching between the two necks still messes me up because I still get used to the grips on this neck. We'll get into this neck at some point, but I get them mixed up because the two necks are too similar. I made a mistake there. But the pedal steel players I meet in the Chicago scene, they kind of just put their bar down and they let their feet do everything, which is valid, and that is a great technique, but it's not my approach. So they'll do...
So it's like dancing down there.
Yeah.
A lot of movement.
But I didn't move the bar at all, right?
I like the volume swells too. That's cool.
I've been working on those a lot. There's a lot better volume swellers than me on the scene, and there's a lot of cool. I don't want people leaving here thinking I'm the only person doing cool things on pedal steel in the Chicago scene. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna shout out a guy right now. And I totally just blanked on his name, but maybe we'll take a break.
Shout out to the pedal steel.
No, it's the guy. His name is Max. His first name is Max. And I want to say his last name is Berg. And if that's wrong, I'm going to sound anti-Semitic. But
so he was a Jew.
Before we get to the shout-outs.
The guy plays like a motherfucker.
Oh, right? Hell yeah. Before we do get to the more shout-outs, because I know you got a lot of great players, and do you want to shout out there? It seems a lot more than I knew. Like, pedal steel players in the Shy. Like,
I'll
even having
all
Wild Trout.
10 of their names. There's probably
shout out to Wild Trout. Shout out to Johnny C. Cummins, and all the players playing the good old root stuff. It sounds like back to like that story is incredible, dude. That's kind of like you found. That's how you came upon music.
Yeah.
But I totally also understand the feeling about like, oh, it's kind of selfish because like. If you think about it, growing up, it's like you had freaking MTV culture and like YouTube culture and the famous culture magazines, like the whole it's like the music didn't have the best rap, especially during the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC wars.
Oh, and if you were like back in the 90s and all the artists are being like, this is deeply personal to me and fuck the audience, and like it engenders this idea of the musician as a very selfish figure, and I had to, and I'm glad I came back to music when I could approach it unselfishly, and that's why I enjoy playing country music is because people dance, people drink, they have fun with the music. And that's, I mean, just fuck jazz audiences sometimes, man.
Yeah.
They don't clap anymore for the solos. Jazz got ruined by nerds, but like, Not the cool nerds. Like
jazz ruined drums too. Like
I love jazz drumming, but there's something to be said for that.
Like hasn't been good to like drummers and like the drummers at large, where it's like that's the finish line is like let's play some like really weird jazz that like nobody else can really groove to,
right?
Or like, you know.
Well, and I think, man, I mean, if we want to get deep into like my hot takes, we could go on the whole jazz establishment. This is why I appreciate.
Get them.
So, I mean, we're going to learn here that I'm extraordinarily nerdy when it comes to music.
Okay.
But
you're in the right place.
Good. I'm going to say fair for this.
Tell us about it.
So, what was great about my instruction and my guitar lessons was they were much guitar lessons as they were music lessons, and the emphasis was very much like. It's very personal. It was me and my guitar teacher, and he's passing on all his knowledge. He was filling up my iPod, and it was this journey we went on together. And his emphasis was on me finding my voice with music. So he would have me transcribe and learn solos, but he said, "Don't sound like them. If you transcribe a Parker solo and you come back to me soloing when we're jamming,
super interesting.
And you sound like Parker,
yeah,
you can pull out a line or two, but I want you to sound like Garrett, and you're gonna have to figure that out." And he goes, learn how to play all the notes you can, but learn how to solo with 2 notes. Learn how to solo with 3. Learn what notes you like. Consume.
How many times would he make you like run it or try it again or do it differently?
That's just all we did. Like I think to get out of guitar lessons, well, one, I have, and I'll get to this also, I have cerebral palsy, and with that comes horrible inflammation on the left side of my body, which if you look at the instrument, that's not great. But to leave guitar lessons, he knew I was in a ton of pain at a certain moment when I was 16. He said, all right, I'm going to flip to a page in the real book, and you were going to improvise. You're going to play the head, and you're going to play a chord melody over it.
Wow, so he's throwing you into improv and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just really
from
testing you.
12. But then, like, to get out of guitar lessons, you just flip to a page. I got super lucky. It was my funny Valentine. I don't think I could have done it if it was like, man, it was almost Tame Thy Pen, like I saw, which is a crazy Richard Niles tune you can find in the real book. And he also pulled out like first edition, second edition, like the bootleg real books from way back in the day, if you know what's up with that. So I had my like study my real book at home, and he'd just pull up a random piece. But I had to play the whole song with a walking bass line and a chord melody, and then I had to improvise with chords and then come back to the head all on my own. And he said after that,
task.
Yeah. Well, he said after that, I want you to take a year off guitar so you can rest your wrist.
Oh, wow.
I was just beating off too much. Sorry. Shoot. You might have to do 2 edits for that. One for like when my students Google my name, and no, it was from guitar. I was playing like waking up in the morning, doing an hour, going to jazz band in the morning, playing another hour, then concert band. You'd play 2 hours there because we were in block schedule, and then I'd play an hour over lunch break, and then I'd play an hour. I was just doing too much. So he told me to take a year off. But his whole thing when I was playing was that he would like show me these musicians, and I remember one. He'd be like, the point is to sound like yourself. You should be able to mimic other musicians because you should have mastery over your instrument. But if you leave jazz as an idiom and your goal is to sound like Coltrane or Parker, you've failed. And that's where I start getting kind of skeptical of the jazz pedagogical establishment that's kind of sprung up in higher education. Is I hear a lot of jazz guys who, one, are rockers who went to jazz school. Be real with me. If you were listening to this, I know we're a small podcast, but if you're listening to this and you're a jazz school kid, tell me if that tracks. There's a lot of those out there. But the other one is the idea of exploring your voice. I wonder how much that's pressed upon people, because I do remember going to shows, even on this instrument, and I listened to 2 bands.
Yeah.
And they'd play the same fill on the pedal steel. And I'd be like, well, here we have, and look at this thing. We have so many strings. We have so many levers. We have
overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah, right. And you don't have to use the levers. You can slant the bar too. This is an old school technique that I think needs to be spoken about a little bit more. But like that, I just did that no feet. I could also. So there's 2 ways to play that, but I feel like if I slant it, I can get a little bit more, just a little bit, and it doesn't sound as in tune, but I think it adds a little bit more personality. And it's just one of those moments where if I go to a gig and 2 people sound the same, I can contextualize that as they are on their own journey and they are practicing the techniques that were given to them. But when it's your own original music, man, sound like an original. Like it's important to me.
It's very important to sound like yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, and it's also not pushed.
Right.
You're absolutely right. It's not.
I mean, and you've been around a lot of musicians. How many guitar players come in here and they sound like your favorite guitarist and they do a great job of it?
Yeah.
But
it happens all the time. Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially, I mean, not to like throw stones at anybody, but like the singer-songwriter crew and stuff, where it's like you get your acoustic. It's like really
shout out to the singer-songwriters.
Same four chords.
We love them. We love them to death. But I mean, it's you're right as far as like the musicianship or the instrumentation.
True.
It's like, you know, the same chord progressions, the same like little phrases and stuff.
Then you
like
get the capo and that.
Yep.
You get like
yeah, you get the capo and it's still
and
it's like 1-5-6-4 or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, same collection of chords. Yeah.
I get like
Totally.
the lyrics and like there's like the poetry part. That's a lot of people lean into that then.
Well,
But the thing is, not a lot of people push you to be different or find your voice. Like from a young age, even in like the education system, like it takes a very
like this
person or like the right person to be kind of test you, but in the perfect way to kind of go outside of your lane, make it your own. But in basic playing, like a lot of people are not pushing each other to do it differently, do it in your own way. Like it gets so easy to just stay and complacent in what.
Well, and how are you going to cut through the noise if you sound like every other band? And that's why. And I'll talk about my band a little bit because my biggest project
Shout
right
out to
now.
bands.
Yeah, my biggest project right now is, and like the one I'm fully like ride or die on is Zach Fetter and the Long Goodbyes. And what I enjoy about that band is
the gas station king of the Midwest, y'all.
Oh man, you did some research.
Rock Radio USA.
Holy shit, you did your research.
They played both kinds of music.
Yeah,
gas station music, but lovely.
we do.
I'm fueled up.
Yeah, man, Casey's is our home. Shout out Casey's if you want to sponsor people.
Gas these days?
It was 313 when I just pulled up, 316 somewhere right off the exit coming on to 94, that 7-Eleven. It's a friendly 7-Eleven. I know you pass it coming out Arlington Heights.
Diesel, I gotta get that in Arlington Heights. I can't get the diesel prices here.
Yeah, shout out to the gas station king of the Midwest. Though I really like the gas station conversation that popped up on YouTube when I did Google the name.
This will be embarrassing. This will be super embarrassing. So I was like learning steel, and so the way I jumped into the band was basically Facebook. Someone's like, "You want to join Psychedelic Country Band?" I was like, "I like both those things. I like all three of those things in that title." So I join and I meet up with this dude, Zach Fetter, amazing singer-songwriter, kind of a staple in the scene, created his own scene. He had an open mic running out of the Pony Inn that a lot of these names ran through that scene. And so I like Zach just handed me a guitar and he's like, "Jam on this." I was like, "Well, you said you wanted me for pedal steel. I don't really play pedal steel." He's like, "Yeah, I know you don't, but no one else does either. So I want to see how good at guitar you are and I want to see if you can hang." And we just jammed for like a whole evening. And at a certain point, I was like, "Can I play you the stuff that I'm getting kind of bold with like the cards I held close to my chest, like the family music." And another name that I'll shout out here is Leo Cocky, biggest influence on my guitar playing. If you're Leo Cocky fan. And if you are Leo Cocky and somehow you heard this, I just want to say thank you for signing my guitar when I was 12. But Zach just tells me, he's like, "Look, you'll learn pedal steel." But we're recording like a year later, and I still was terrible. Like, I had to do so many takes, and those solos weren't good. And I was pretty good with the bar right away because I knew, lap steel, so I could do, Oh my God. Sorry, I got my necks mixed up really fast there. I got really excited and I mixed up my necks.
Oh, come on now. That sounds mean.
So, like, I can play with the bar, but he wanted me to use more of the, Yeah. And I didn't know how to use all the levers, so we had to do so many takes. It was, but I also played banjo on that, so I can kind of be like, okay. So I did some other things on that album, and baritone. I think I played baritone on that album, and I played dobro on that album. I'm pretty happy with that. This dobro was one of the worst instruments in terms of quality I've ever played. But
I mean, you get the job done, man. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many takes, right? Yeah. I mean, whatever
Accuracy
it takes to
volume.
get to the take.
Right. Eventually, was that a Marine phrase?
That's a machine gunner thing.
I was about to ask you.
Shout out to machine gunners. One can, one kill.
Yeah, see, I grew up hunting, so that mentality is not inculcated in me. We call that shooting like Chuck.
How old were you when you hunted the first time?
Oh man, I saw. Okay, so like here's the thing about musicians who act hard and like they're tough and like they're from it and like they're still musicians. Like they're still nerdy little artist boys.
They're
like
theater
me,
kids.
and that's okay. Yeah, and it's okay to admit that. I think my dad realized I was a little too soft for the hunting grounds. He took me out there. I never shot anything. I skinned some deer. I missed a rabbit or two, and no squirrels came out, man. That is the weirdest thing, going through southern Iowa and like there's no squirrels. My dad's like, yeah, they hunt them here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not just going through your garbage. But I did grow up with a gun range in my basement. So that was,
hell yeah.
Yeah. I had a good upbringing for I wasn't in the country, but I can relate to some of that behavior.
I've never hunted deer, but I did take out a doe a few years ago with my truck. I got a new front end on my truck for my trouble. But
but you get a new front end, but did you get any backstrap?
This was in Wyoming. This is outside Gillette, Wyoming. And it was like right after sunset, and it was like a zombie movie. They just start coming out of the dirt, and it's just there's hundreds of them. It was like right around the rut too, so I'm pretty sure all of them are psycho.
Yeah, they're all horny and just crazy.
Yeah, like right in the blue oval. The thing just ran like I was famous last words is like eventually one of these things is gonna like run into the road.
Yep.
And then it's like sure enough, like 45 seconds later, lowers its shoulder like a linebacker and misses both my headlights. Still have the same hood, but my intercooler, my grill, everything, all the cameras and bells and whistles in the Platinum disintegrated. And then by the time I got the thing towed and got it to like the thing, we went back with like a U-Haul to like get out because we were on a camping trip, so we were getting all of our gear and stuff loaded up. And we went back by where it was, like maybe 12 hours later, and it was somebody had gotten to it and just had already harvested that. Yeah. Well, and then even when we went to the truck to get it in this part of like rural Wyoming where there's like not another town for like 200 miles, the mechanic that took in like the end of the body shop that was fixing up the truck, we pulled in and right next to it is like another F-150 just like mine, with the exact same damage, or it's like oh, that looks familiar. And then that's really where I learned where the phrase 7 shades of shit comes from, because it's like literally it's like you could tell it's like it was definitely going that way, because like this side of the truck is brain matter and blood, the other side is just like 7 shades of what this thing was eating that week.
Oh yeah. And you see that when you field dress them too.
So now, as I said, I'm a vegetarian, but I fucking can't stand deer. Like if you take out a deer with your rifle or whatever just for fun, like good. Oh yeah, one less.
And they're delicious, and they get to live this open, free roaming life. I think it's very humane and fun.
I think they're scum, and I think they need to be dealt with.
I think our appetites for them should increase.
I want to do because after seeing that in like Wyoming and seeing like how fucking many there are, and there's definitely more deer than there are people in that state, and it's like they're not taking them out, and it's like I don't know if it's like that island Lanai in Hawaii where they're like overrun and they have to like do like pest control with them or something. But like I want to do like instead of like charter fishing boats, like just do like charter hunting trips.
There's a lot of money in that. If you ever do want to do that and get into that as a venture, I could connect you with some people who have connections in that world for chartered hunting.
Just straight shot down 90.
Yeah.
Get like an RV, get like a flatbed or something like that, or like a cooler truck or whatever like that. Hire like a butcher or whatever, somebody to process the meat on the spot.
Yep.
Drive down the highway. You don't even have to get out of the fucking truck. You just pull out and do drive-bys on these things and get hundreds of them. And
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh. You mentioned drive-bys, and like this is where the tradition of my family kind of falls apart at me. Apparently, every man in my family line has been extraordinarily good at drive-by shooting deer and poaching them.
Shout out.
I'm not. You're not having me ride shotgun shooting deer on 90, but I love the idea.
Well, it just seems like a good way to fuck up the inside, like the interior of your truck too, unless you're using something that's got some sort of like muzzle brake on it or whatever, or you're like sticking the thing way out, or like something like South Central where they get like the van where they just open up the whole side of the van, like maybe that. But did you see that Brennan Herrera shot a deagle inside his Cybertruck to like test that like Trump Tower shooting? It's like the dude shot himself.
Inside of the car?
Yeah, because that was like the whole thing, like that whatever his name, like the Army Ranger or Army Green Beret who like blew himself up inside the Cybertruck outside of the Trump Tower. It's like apparently he shot himself before he did it. but he did it with a Desert Eagle, which is like a huge fucking pistol. And it has a huge fucking muzzle flash, and you couldn't see anything of that from the cameras. Wow. So he like tested the theory. It's like, could you do this? And sure enough, you could, and you don't see the muzzle flash. And that's if it's inside your mouth too, that'll dampen it a little bit.
Usually it makes
that's a nice little muzzle break for you. But he was like shooting from his front seat into his back seat into like a ballistic vest into like a plate, which is like, don't you like your fucking Cybertruck? Like who it's like that's you're gonna mess your shit up.
Yeah, I heard those things are nice on the inside, right?
They're really good on gas.
I was gonna say that's another reason like that I like to connect with my roots through music and not ruining the interior of my car. Because like let's say you got the Deer, I got a sedan. When am I gonna pull that thing back in? You gotta have some redneck cousins who'll get you some venison though. Like that's my game. I just gotta play a good guitar.
Yeah, play him some tunes, and then in exchange for some venison. There you go.
I've definitely done that. That's how we get by at family gatherings.
With the banjo, how long have you been playing that? Was that the same around the same time you started playing? Did you jump into the banjo as well? Or?
Well, that's funny. I always wanted to play banjo. That was the one instrument I wanted more than anything. But I got a guitar because there were no banjos up in Mundelein back in the day, and my dad couldn't secure a banjo teacher. But my little sister, she went out to Nevada, Missouri for college, an all-girls school, which I'm sure she loved considering her, preferences. Shout out Haley, good choice.
Shout out
Mad
Haley.
respect.
Proud of you.
Yeah, that's a lesbian little sister knowing how to work the system right there. Going to an all-girls school in the middle of like Redneckville, Missouri. Yeah. Someone gifted her a banjo, and then for Christmas, I've been joking. My family was texting me, what should I get your wife? What should I get your wife? And I go, you get her a banjo because she hates pedal steel. My wife hates pedal steel. She hates banjo. She hates country. Jeez. She's very supportive. Oh, no. That's why. She's very supportive. That's why I get to do this. I was joking, get a banjo. It's one, she hates pedal steel enough. Let's see if she hates banjo more.
And
they gave her the banjo. And they gave my wife the banjo, and they said, the reason we're giving this to your wife is, one, you kept buying another instrument every time we wanted to give you a banjo. I had to upgrade. That's different. It's not really that different. And then on top of that, they said, we want her to have the power to tell you to stop playing.
Oh,
so we're giving her the banjo.
Oh, that's smart.
So I'm getting okay at banjo. I got a few Scruggs rolls down, but then the thing about banjo is everyone approaches it from a very right-hand perspective. And there's a lot of bluegrass purists who want you to do Scruggs style, with the rolls, and they're very good. I think one of those are amazing musicians too. Learning a few banjo rolls will help your guitar playing immensely. So definitely good to quote unquote cross train. Kind of like that whole UFC approach. Mix in the arts.
Do you do like the traditional finger style, or do you claw hammer, or what?
I tried claw hammer, and I'm not very good at it.
What is the dobro?
The dobro, that's right there.
Okay, so we'll get into it eventually.
That was COVID crazy.
I noticed you as well have.
I tried to work on
skills
something.
On that.
I got something. I need a better dobro, but I've tried to make this one work, and I've got some creative solutions to its horrible timbre that I think are clever. But with the banjo, you bring up a great question because claw hammer I couldn't do, but Carter style guitar playing. So when you play Carter style guitar, if I just grab one of these, it's for an acoustic demonstration.
Grab the Melody Makers. Shout out. The old Gibson Melody Maker. Tommy gifted me this axe right before he went.
Yeah, into the Marines. That would have been like, I bought that guitar and then I just did a bunch of like mods to it. It's and then I didn't do that to the headstock. That was your boy.
So I kind of from listening.
Shout out to Spice Town Guitars for fixing it up.
Oh, nice, yeah. Oh, sure.
Like in true Gibson fashion, it snapped the headstock. So if you need, if you ever snap your headstock,
you know where to go.
It ain't the end of the world.
Town
Just go to Spice Town
Guitars.
Chicago's
very own.
I am actually.
Shout out to the man with a real mullet too.
Shane Morris. Oh, gorgeous mullet. Probably the best. It's
the
like
best
hockey hair extraordinaire.
Mine was not that great as a kid.
Oh man,
I had to go through it to have a mullet back in the day. Now you can be cool and do that.
He's cool as it comes too. And his mullet is incredible.
So what I figured out is that I listened to some old country music, especially with my nana. Like growing up, she'd pull up the turntable.
Shout out to Nana again.
And no one taught me how to do it, so I didn't know how to play the guitar the way they were, but I listened a lot, and I kind of was able to bastardize and kind of pick up on what's called Carter style guitar playing, which is where you have a bass line running with your thumb, and you go like So you got the thumb going, and you're doing that while you're just kind of flicking the rest of your hand.
Okay.
And, sorry.
So
And I just kind of like threw that on banjo, but it doesn't work as well because you can't hit the drone as much. And then I tried just like saying for a second, like forgot Scruggs style, forgot the rolls, forget all that. Just put your fingers on the instrument and try to make some noise. Just get a little basic finger style going.
Nice.
I start doing stuff like that on banjo.
Yep.
It just sounds nice, and you can use the flesh of your fingers. There's so much purism in like the approach to banjo, and I understand it. You want to, the modern approach to how it's taught and everything has to rest. If you're going to teach something, you have to systematize it.
Well, and I think like any sort of like haughtiness that you apply to the banjo is like just makes zero sense because the banjo itself was like an instrument that was invented by like assembled parts and just like arranged for like shortcuts, and it's just like the whole way that it's set up. Is just to be able to play it faster and to like have more tricks and more gimmicks, more easily accessible.
And it's originally a slave instrument too, so it's not like. And I'm not trying to knock the traditional systems of learning that had to evolve from the culture of plantations. That's not my purpose here. But I am going to say that if you're going to sit down in a suit and start being like the most proper way to play banjo, I'm going to start thinking like...
You better have some tea. Pour me some tea.
You're kind of helping your own ass at that
milk.
point.
I used to like playing the banjo with other like acoustic guitars and stuff like that, and then just doing sort of like a sweep pattern while I'm doing like the regular banjo stuff, but then like letting my... three fingers just brush on the surface of the drum and get sort of like a
scratch on the drum
like
a little,
and then like a snare out of it too.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, that's great.
The banjo, it is tuned in like G, right? Like open G, pretty much.
Sometimes I do C.
Open, whatever. Yeah,
because alone, just on it, when you're just playing it open, like you could just even slide on one note up and down, and it sounds freaking awesome.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I shout out to the professionals out there, but I just like. When I bought my first banjo, it was just like for fun, right? Just to like start riffing on. Like I knew nothing about it. Probably am not playing it right at all, but like it has its own. Just the melody is so much sweeter and lighter, and like you could almost like feel the rings of light that come off the board, like off this, like because is it like a snare skin?
I think it is like basically a snare skin, right? Yeah,
but it's a beautiful freaking instrument. It's really. Really cool. And my connection with the banjo as far as me with my family, my great-grandfather from Ireland. So
oh, really?
He, in the town of Port he used to, this was actually his band,
that is
like
banjolin.
old school. Yeah.
If you need that fixed up, talk to me, because I do know someone who could work on that.
And he used to just like in the town play like singer-songwriter type stuff, or folk. They'd gather and play songs, and it's just wild, man. So I've had that forever, but he used to play that, and he used to, play numbers for the community and stuff.
Well,
so
this is where it gets really fascinating because you're talking about your great-grandpa in Ireland, and I've done my wife's, Irish American.
Shout out to George Francis.
Yeah, definitely. My wife doesn't bring up her Irishness, but her family's so Irish. Like genetically, she mentioned
we're too Irish.
Yeah, she mentioned there was 3 people who married who weren't Irish, and she named 2, and I was like, "Who's the third?" She looks.
I wish I wasn't so green. I see leprechauns every day.
So we were learning about Irish music and its history, and what's fascinating about it, and where its connection to Chicago kind of comes full circle. And this might be cool for you to know, unless you already know it. I don't want to just tell you things you know.
I know nothing.
Oh, okay. And I learned this also in a museum in Galway, and I corroborated it later, but. Essentially, Ireland, has that whole conflict with their culture being ripped from them, from the English colonialism, right?
Yep.
So
me and Tommy cry about it all day.
Yeah. The Irish are good at that.
I'm the progeny or the posterity of the IRA. So
I think it got so real when we went goth.
We're Italian.
So
gets real sad real quick.
But what's funny about it is when the Irish came to America, they found an area where they could be a little bit more Irish than they could be at home because the English were suppressing that. A lot of the old music the Irish brought over in the 1800s stayed in America. All those traditional songs and the banjo's even presence in Ireland comes from them hitting up when in the 1920s and like early 10s when they're going through like a nationalist movement. They start hitting up all the Irish people in America. Send us music, send us songs. What instruments are you playing this on? Let's get your records. Banjo got to Ireland because of Chicago Irish musicians sending all of the Irish songs back to Ireland, which is why I think it's really...
That's incredible.
But it's also why it's really funny when you go to Ireland and they're like, Irish Americans aren't real Irish people. And it's like, well, they did give you your entire songbook, so you might want to say thank you to them for keeping your tourism afloat for the last 50 years.
Yeah, if they could find the time to stop like eating trash in the street for
I'm not saying I've been to Ireland. I think the Irish Americans are the ones eating trash in the streets. Like have you seen Boston?
That's neither here nor there. Yeah, it's like semantics.
Yeah.
And that's I was trying to find.
But that's really cool though to me because that represents.
Man, it's great, and
that's a whole circle. One
in the studio, and yeah, totally. Especially with me and my brother, connecting back to just wanting to play music because no one in my family like really plays music, or I don't have like a long like. It sounds like you had more traditional, some more background with music.
Just my grandpa.
That's awesome.
It.
It's something,
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, there was George Francis, and playing it just for fun. Growing up and being a songwriter myself, it's you feel it in your blood. So to know like that he was doing something similar, like is amazing. It's wild, dude. It's really incredible and really. Yeah. Really beautiful. Shout out to George Francis forever.
But I'm also gonna
and up the raw.
That's like a super. You also know like how rare that is, right? Like a banjo mandolin that evolved. That came from a specific moment, and they're like I would probably say the 20s when there's a lot more money coming in post-war. Yeah. People are really getting into entertainment, and they're trying to find ways before electronic amplification to diversify their sound. And there was an explosion. There's a great luthier. I want to say he's up in Wakanda or something. Who we were just shooting the breeze
Shout
about
out the Black Panther.
Yeah, we were just shooting the breeze about like the instruments that came out of the 20s, and one is like you have this rampant experimentation with acoustic instrument design that you don't have after amplification, and you don't have after the Great Depression kills all of the entertainment industry. So that
it's a rare piece.
That instrument just has such a like I gotta say, man, the whole idea of it, like those Irish songs coming from Chicago to Ireland, coming back to you in Chicago,
circle, man.
That's a beautiful thing, and that is just such an amazing.
And now it has its glory spot.
You could get that
Rock
restored.
Radio USA.
Like how much volume you need to get
Never
out of
it.
a mandolin when it's playing with like other banjos and like a bowron and like
exactly, and that's why they banjoed it up to get the more amplification out of it.
But they're so fun to play, the banjos, and I'll like pick around, just jazz off on it for hours.
Oh yeah,
just get lost. It's
100%. I do that all the time. Especially, I've alluded to this earlier, but like I got cerebral palsy on the left side of my body, so I will work my ass off on an instrument. But I know in most physical endeavors I partake in, I actually didn't know this for a while. I had to like do the math and be like, oh, every time I do something physical, my left side of my body ends up developing an issue. I was like, that's right, you have cerebral palsy. How did you forget this? Like, but
if you don't mind me asking, when did that?
Born with it. So actually, I do want to do a shout out to the cerebral palsy community because I might actually post this on like the subreddit and everything. We try to support each other, but it's an interesting condition in that the outlook that I've met with most people with cerebral palsy going to like physical therapy my whole life. Born with it. I want to clarify just about the condition. It's lack of oxygen during birth that creates a brain injury that impacts your mobility through different things. So there's like ataxic cerebral palsy. There's another one, dystonic, I think. I've got the most common, which is spastic.
Okay.
And so the muscles will like tense up. And so like I was in a lot of pain from an early age. And as I went to more and more therapy, the pain got less and less and less. And the puberty about 22, it was pain-free. And then I decided to do jiu-jitsu and like ruin everything. You're a Marine. I'm sure you knew a few people.
Throw in a bunch of other problems.
Yeah. So I got to destroy my body doing that. But
shout out to destroying your body.
yeah, dude, that's what music's about.
The purpose of life is not to arrive safely at death.
Right?
Run this shit into the dirt.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, like, man, like, don't go quiet into the night, you know?
There you go. To quote Bob Dylan. Sorry, Dylan Thomas.
Wait. I thought that was Ginsberg.
But shout out to
Dylan
Bobby D,
Thomas. Do
nonetheless.
not go gently into that. Good night, rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know the
Thomas.
speaker, but that was a great poll there.
I'm a big fan of poetry.
Oh, you gotta be. If you're a musician,
True
I
goth.
gotta get back into Sandberg. But I got into
Ryan
music two
Sandberg?
ways through cerebral palsy. One is you're laid up in bed and you're like 8 and you're just like in pain.
I can't
It's
imagine.
like,
It's
no,
rough, man.
I don't
It's
want to make this sound like a sob story because I went to therapy every week, and you know what you do in therapy? You look at the guy in crutches and you go, you know what? Thank God I'm not him. You know what? I better use my body. I bet he can't, so I will. And then you know what that guy in crutches is doing?
Looking at the guy in the wheelchair. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
There's always somebody you got to worse.
Exactly, and that's the mentality. You got it. Yeah, it's the mentality you get when you have a condition. You kind of have to, but you also got this like, oh man, it's gonna get complicated, like it always does. But so like, when I was 8, my dad noticed I was in pain, and he got me a CD player, and my mom got me books on tape, and books on tape were pretty good. But around 9, I was just like, they had like put me in like a boot and stuff, and I have to straighten my leg out at night. My dad got me a CD player and a tape deck, and I got free reign over his CDs. I didn't actually. Actually, I'm still in a lot of trouble for the CDs and tapes I lost. But the way I saw it was I had free reign over his stuff. And I would just go through all of the Who albums that he had. Huge one for me, The Who.
Shout out to The Who.
I love The Who. It's how I'm married is The Who. I mean, we bonded over that.
Brings people together.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
Shout out to girls who like the Who.
Hi, Hannah. If you do watch this, that's my wife. She's awesome. She likes The Who. We saw Tommy together. Not you, the musical.
Yeah,
I know.
The Pinball Wizard.
Yeah. So it was a lot of like just listening to music to get through the pain, and then the other one was they spent all this time working on my leg, and when I was like discharged from therapy, they're like, by the way, his like wrist might also be messed up, but it's his left wrist, so we didn't do anything about that. Where it's like, all right, well, guitar, that'll make him work his wrist.
There you go.
Did the guitar help?
It did.
Yeah.
So yeah. Actually, it helped with coordination, and then I got like carpal tendonitis. It's the start. But no, it makes you work your ass off, and you got to put your brain into it. Like that's the thing about this instrument. I was playing it for 2 years, and I ended up developing tendonitis. And at first I was like, God bless it. Like, how does this keep happening? And then I realized, watch the way people play, and if everyone has the ability to see my feet, don't look at them now. But I think that camera might see it. Maybe you'll notice my foot position is wrong. If you're a steel player, that'll jump out to you that I can't plant my foot, and my ankle doesn't have the flexibility to hit the levers the right way. Like, this is hard and it hurts.
Damn.
So I stomp, and stomping creates mechanical inefficiency that eventually will, in addition to the fact that my leg just can't keep doing stuff, it'll create pain. But I worked around it because I was in a lot of pain, and then I was like, what if I just restring this entire second neck?
Okay.
Change the tuning, modify all the key mechanisms a little bit, develop my own tuning.
So you truly customized it.
Yes. Yeah. So this is in a tuning no one else has, and I really like to say that because it makes me feel special. If any pedal steel player looked at the tuning this was in, the second neck, they would immediately understand that it's redundant because it accomplishes a lot of what this does, and it's very gimmicky because it does a lot of fun stuff like this, like or I can play braid like that.
Ooh.
Wait, I think I can play braid. Yeah, all right, get Nirvana back, man.
Dude,
they don't need Kurt Cobain. They need, all right. So
such a good song.
But it's very gimmicky. But it has like, but it's designed so that I don't have to play it with my feet a lot. And if I do use my feet, then I can, because it's designed with the 6th chord, so that I can.
Ooh.
I don't have to. I was just fucking around, man. Like, you could just go. It's a pentatonic. It's a major pentatonic. I don't have to try to make it sound good. And then on top of that, the slants, which is a technique on pedal steel. I got in trouble for saying that at a band practice once, but the slants on the pedal steel are a lot easier on this neck because there's an extra string in between my 3rd degree of the scale and the octave, so it's easier to get those slants in. And on top of that, I found that I can use this one pedal to go from my 1 to my 4 chord just with one pedal. So which is like the most pedal steel thing you ever want to hear. All anyone wants to hear on my E9 neck is just... Right, oh my God. Sorry, switching grips. It always trips me up. Switching grips always trips me up. I'll get better at it one day. That's all anyone wants to hear, right? That's the pedal steel thing. So I realized I could do that on this neck. And that's most of what people are asking for. And then if I need to solo, it'd just be really easy to do it with my bar. And that lends itself to, how I play lap steel, which is all bar. I gotta switch necks again.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
So, like...
Mean, man.
It
sounds lovely.
It's a very... If another steel player played this neck, they'd think it was probably very primitive in its tuning. It has some options. There's actually some really jazzy chords you can get on it. But I do know that if I walk in, when I walk in with a D10, this is called a D10 dual, and then 10 string. One, they're gonna notice that I chopped off my 10th string on this because I'm just too lazy. You know what? 19 strings wasn't enough. Then the comments I get out of older folks, and I'm gonna shout out Kramer's in North Aurora. If you have a broken instrument and you're out in the western suburbs, go to Kramer's. That man is a community of knowledge within one human being. It is amazing.
It's awesome.
I just want to go shoot the shit with him, honestly. My cousin told me about him. Actually, another musician in the scene, another steel player, Vince in Irish Marlowe's band, is also, he knows about Kramer. He knows what's up.
Cool. Shout out to Vince.
Yeah. Hey, Vince. But he saw this, and he said the same comment everyone always says, which is, oh, man, I'm so glad someone was playing a C6 tuning. And at the time, this was tuned in C6, and I had someone say that to me once, and I had to be like, it's not tuned in a C6. It's tuned in an E6. And they go, why would you do an E6? You have an E9. And I go, it's a long story. Because my leg's messed up. Because my leg's messed up. And now I get to play it with my right leg. But it's how you can work.
You worked around it, man.
Yeah.
You figured out a way to make it work for yourself.
Well, and that's where all the scholarship pays off. Because a lot of these steel players, I hear a lot of Lloyd Green and Paul Franklin and their influences, and that makes sense. Everyone who listens to pedal steel, they're probably listening to Lloyd Green or Paul Franklin, and they define the sound, and they're amazing musicians. And Lloyd Green has a very distinctive style that he played, but if you dig through his collection, he played lots of other styles. I realized, one, that's how everybody else is already playing. I need to find another way to play, and I realized we really standardized as a community. The tuning for the pedal steel was standardized around these people in like the 60s, 70s, right? But before that, there were pedal steels. Alvino Ray was playing one in Exotica music, which is the cheesiest thing you'll ever see. But also the musicianship is bizarrely higher than it should be. It's also the corniest thing I've ever seen. But Alvino Ray...
It's a good thing to pull up over popcorn late at night.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, it's like tiki bar. It's like 1948 tiki bar music for white people who don't know what Polynesia is, and they just kind of all lump all of the Orient into one thing. But because they have no clear defined parameters of what Polynesian music or this Oriental music, quote unquote, I'm using their terms because I know that's how they would have talked. They don't know what that sounds like, so they freely experimented. Alvino Ray was the first to put, he might have been the first. This is a debatable content. I don't want people jumping on me for this, but he added pedals to it, and he would modify his tunings constantly to be able to play different sounds. And you'd look at Al Perkins was using something similar to an E9 in the 60s and 70s, and Al Perkins had his own thing going on. And then you look and you go, Jimmy Day had his own thing going on. And we all just decided to play like Lloyd Green. I think this is an amazing tuning right here. I think it is the best tuning. Well, actually, I modified it. But
it is the best.
Yeah. But
your best.
Yeah.
It's
secret sauce.
And then it seems kind of weird to have something with
there's so much freedom.
20 strings and however many bars and levers you have on it, and just leave it as one. It's got to be rock solid, has to stay this way, where it's
right.
It has all this built-in flexibility and mobility to it,
right? And
you can't do that.
Well, and this is where I do kind of butt heads with some of the attitudes that I see in the pedal steel community of you should be doing it this way, you should be doing it that way. Lloyd Green did it that way, and it's my favorite players, Pete Kleinow and Susan Alcorn. And Pete Kleinow played counter melody as his role, and that's another thing I'll get into. But what's fascinating is no one is arriving to pedal steel as their first instrument. And if you have the ambition to go anywhere with pedal steel, a lot of those people are coming in with a theory background. This is an instrument with its own history and its pedagogy and its place, and people are trying to formalize using online resources. It's a very interesting study into how humans have put their learning into online and informal practices, because you can find everything you need on YouTube for this. They've done a really good job of trying to create that, and they're interviewing old masters, and it's great.
It's wild.
But if you're like, if this is what you want to do for you, there's so many ways to customize this. You can design your own instrument. You can design.
I say go off.
Right. Right.
I've always been that way.
I mean,
I totally get the traditional, and especially something that goes back really deep into the roots and like has a strong culture behind it. Like you don't really want to go too far. Often there's bases to it for a reason. For people to be able to play together, so everyone knows
exactly
the tuning. But even like the singer-songwriters nowadays, like it's all being warped into all sorts of weird tunings, and no one's playing standard
anymore. And they should
anymore.
Do that, and they should. Because what made Joni Mitchell great is she's one of the best lyricists of all time with an amazing voice. I'm not going to say that she's not that, but as an instrumentalist and someone who obsesses over instrumentalists and who will look up, and I will look up all the studio musicians on an album if so behooves me.
Totally.
Nikki did great work on the piano for The Who, for example. I love knowing the people behind the scenes. Shit, where was I going? I got distracted by the music next door.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, Joni Mitchell. Thank you. Joni Mitchell played in alternative tunings. Yeah. And that's why you can't play her chords on you're using your cage system, because Joni Mitchell did her own tunings. And there's actually another shout out. There's someone who I think really encapsulates that spirit in the music sphere right now in Chicago. I'm going to shout him out. He actually has a show on the 24th at Artifact Events, JJ Smith.
Shout out to JJ Smith.
He runs the open mic at Artifact Events, so he's another guy in the scene.
Where's the open mic at?
It's at Artifact Events. It's in Ravenswood. The parking.
Ravenswood. What night?
I want to say it's Thursdays.
One
Thursday
you heard
a month.
It here first, or once again on your timeline here, Rock Radio USA. It's funny because I've been looking for open mics. I really want to hit more.
Dude, Reggie's on Monday.
Reggie's on Monday?
Zach runs it, yeah.
Ooh, dude, yes.
The leader of my band runs that, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
And everyone knows Gallery Cab.
Is that Wednesday?
I think Gallery Cab is Wednesday. You can do Reggie's on Monday, and then I think it's once a Thursday. There's 1 or 2 Thursdays a month, Artifact Events.
Here we go.
Artifact Events is a really good one to go to, and JJ Smith is a great person.
Keep us busy.
Yeah.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
Yes.
JJ Smith, talk shop with him, because he explores tunings like no one else, and he does a lot of like Zeppelin inspired stuff with an electric guitar and G tuning, but he's not playing.
I was listening to No Quarter today. I don't know why. It was like I took a little 10-minute break. I earned it. It was a union that I earned. Hard day's work.
Treat
and
yourself.
On my union, I was like, oh my gosh, it's been like 23 minutes. It was because I was listening to No Quarter on repeat. I got so lost in the song. Okay. The song kind of fell into the couch, and before I knew it, dude, what a beautiful song.
Then you got to check out JJ Smith. If you like Zeppelin, he is someone who took what they're doing and didn't do the Greta Van Fleet thing of what sounds like Zeppelin, but did the thing of what's the idea they're working with.
Yeah.
And the idea of like, and he really takes from that the folk stuff that they do. But he also took that whole, Jimmy Page is using weird tunings. Why don't I use my own weird tunings? Another person who does this, I don't know if he's recording right now, is my best friend Connor Johnson.
Shout out.
He's a crazy person, and I don't think he'll mind me saying that.
Crazy people. He's like me.
Yeah, dude. Like, dude, I should get him on here, because he started playing guitar. I didn't even know he was playing music, and I was like, how come I can't figure out your chords? He's like, oh, I tuned everything weird. Why'd you do that, Connor? Because if I didn't, I would sound like everybody else. And now no one can sound like me ever. I was like, I actually gotta love that. Like,
that's a good answer.
Like there's a meta game to this.
Nice.
You gotta look at the meta game. What the sounds people are working with? What's my goal? To stand out? To sound like me? Okay, then I don't work with the sounds other people are working with.
It's like you want it to sound good, but then it's like if there's a million different ways to sound good, but then it's like if you could sound good and original and good, then yourself or whatever, like how you're supposed to sound.
Yeah, and to do a throwback to another name I use, there's someone who's really good at doing both. The guy from Dogcatcher, Max Berg.
Nice.
God, I'm just gonna go with that name. It's probably Stein.
Shout out to Dogcatcher.
Bomb, Farb.
He's really
Comment
good
below.
though. He's so good. He can play any telly lick you want him to play. So like, there's one thing to be said for if you're gonna sound like someone else, you better be the best at it. Max is up there. If you want him to do the pure country thing, he can do it, and then he'll play pedal steel in a punk band.
Damn.
Because the
In a
dude,
punk band.
right? Like,
Really?
like he's just at that. What he can do, what everyone else is asking him to do, and he can sound like other guys, and he can be the best one at it. He can also then completely switch around. He plays like an 11-string pedal steel. He added an extra low E so he can get nice and dirty with it. And he's got some like effects he runs through there. No one sounds like Max Berg. Or
Damn.
Max.
Shout
I'm going to check his name. It's going to be Stein or something. I'm going to be like, dude,
Shout out
Max,
to
I'm so
Max.
sorry.
Samsonite. I was
Max
way off.
from Dogcatcher. Max from Dogcatcher is a badass. I could talk shop with him. JJ Smith, another one. He explores tunings in a way that I really appreciate. And it brings me back to, the Hawaiian roots of this instrument. This instrument, part of the reason I like it is because of how American it is. It's an instrument that was created by Native Hawaiians, the lap steel.
So Hawaii for
Right.
real, like all the way out there
Yeah.
in the islands.
People got
far
obsessed
off
with that
in the water.
Hawaii fever, like
wow.
that's why everyone wanted to play like lap steel. That's why my great grandpa probably had one. So it was embraced by the native community too. For a quick moment, there's actually, you can even find a clip of a famous opera singer who was a Native American, the first Native American opera singer. And there's a picture, there's a quick video. There's no audio, but it's her entertaining the troops for like USO or
Shout out to
something.
the troops.
Shout out to the troops. Hi, Tommy. So there's that, and then she's playing lap steel with it, and there's like this like whole like native pride around it in the 20s. But then hillbillies start playing, and they start playing on dobro. They start playing that, and blues players like the sound, but they don't know how to mimic it because there's no visuals always accompanying these recordings. So a lot of blues players, what they start doing is they start adding the slide to their finger. That's where you get slide guitar. And
That'll
on
do it, yeah.
top of that, you also have the sacred steel tradition of these black musicians taking up the pedal steel. And then we all know white people play pedal steel. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong or great about it, but there's something so...
There's plenty wrong with being white.
No, we should all feel bad. But
Shame on you for your skin.
I mean, there's probably some bastards in my family. I'll just say that straight up. But we already talked to my great grandpa. With that said, like, there's something so cool about playing such an American instrument that's been embraced by so many different peoples in America, and they developed
I
their own
didn't
voices
know it
on
was
it.
from Hawaii.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, like the old Hawaiian
it's
music.
So fascinating. Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
that,
and you
like
can-
aloha,
Yeah.
aloha, and then they're just
The reason you
Such a
associate
rich
the two-
history,
Yeah, like,
really.
there's a
Yeah.
reason you associate steel guitars with Hawaiian music, and it's because it's Hawaiians that were doing it. Like, it's not stereotypical. And what's cool about it, and I was watching a whole presentation on the guy. You can just go on YouTube and find out all this stuff. It's great. This guy was giving a presentation on how he was trying to learn different songs, and for every different song he had to learn a new tuning on lap steel. And there's just so many lessons from like lap steel that you can carry on to pedal steel. And for me, it's God, I don't want to be one of those like, oh man, jack me off, I'm disabled, I did something great. But as someone in a lot of pain sometimes when I have to play this thing,
Yeah.
to be able to look at the inspiration of past musicians and being like, okay, how did the sacred steel players approach this instrument? What can I steal from them? Yeah, I'm a culture vulture. Just call me what it is. What can I steal from their ideas to work around the fact that I have a physical limitation?
Yeah.
Sometimes, what can I borrow from these Hawaiian musicians who are changing tuning every 5 seconds to pull into what I play?
Is it really stealing, though? I mean, it was created and
supposed
put
to in
there in the
music.
first place for it to evolve, for it
Music
to
is-
grow, you know?
You're
Like,
supposed to steal music. That's my other hot
it's-
take. Like
I don't think,
it's
like,
non-musicians saying that Paul Simon, like non-musicians are the ones looking.
It's almost like the music industry made it selfish and into this weird, fucked up product that it never was supposed to be in the first place. So it's like
100%.
that's why we're here.
Well,
Like,
that's why there's so many divisions in music. Country music was called hillbilly music, which is how I get to have some claim to it because I know how to cook a possum. But
nice.
not gonna do well. No, I would. I haven't had the opportunity, but
Yeah.
With that said, like, country music was created from hillbilly music, which is how they separated from the blues folk music coming from the same region. What people don't understand, if you look at the historical records, is that there were black country musicians. They just got put into blues. Oftentimes, that's why we have different styles of blues, like Piedmont blues, where people are using more bluegrass styles of playing, and they call it Piedmont blues. Well, it's because it was black people in Appalachia playing it, but it's kind of the same as what everyone else is playing. There were black string bands. If you need a name for any of like black music that kind of got pushed to the side because they decided to give it to white people when the recording industry decided to be like, black people play blues, white people play country or hillbilly music at the time. Don Flemons, black cowboy. Check out Don Flemons. He's local. Awesome. He's in Naperville. He's a name in the black banjo movement. He's a cool dude. Don Flemons. But I digress. The whole point, essentially, so every time I hear music, I start listening.
I know we got the demons of Rock Radio USA just flaring up from the walls. Sometimes the gothic spirits just come through. You can't catch them all. You know, Steve Jobs is still dead up in the corner there. So every now and then,
as long as he doesn't like reanimate,
he'll do a scream from the down below. But it's okay. The spirits won't kill us. They won't hurt us. They're just moving through us.
I say he was a Buddhist, so if he's down below, I mean, the Buddhists have a lot of iterations of hell. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
soldier on, Steve.
Well, back in the day, everybody wanted to work for Steve Jobs, except for his pancreas.
Shout out to the iPod. I still have my Nano.
God. Oh, dude, do you really?
Yeah, I still got my Shuffle. I still got my Nano.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. Those were
fun.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, it's nice being totally just not connected at the internet at all and just being like, even though it's a digital piece of equipment, it's nice to just feel unplugged.
It really is. It really is.
I mean, I mostly will listen to music still out of my CD player. Shout out. Got to use the.
I use my CD player,
dude.
All
it's
the
such to just be disconnected and just like zone in. Don't get to put the records on and kick up the speakers, all the time. I love to sit down and listen that way. Anytime I could, but I
think like all the CDs that I own is like my father, like the inherited collection from my father, and it's like so as a result, I own all of R. Kelly's albums.
Oh, I really didn't expect that from you.
Yeah, like literally, it wasn't mine. It was my dad.
First
like
on
shit
Rock
I
Radio
inherited
USA?
from my dad. So it's like all sorts of like the blues, the all the banjo music and stuff like that, and like you name it. He had a very wide and eclectic taste in music, so it's like I got a lot of good stuff. I got some like all Nirvana's albums. He had those too, like you name it. But then he also had like everything that R. Kelly ever made. So it's so like, funny. And then he died, and then I inherited like all of his music stuff, including his banjo.
Damn.
And but part of that is like and then for years after he passed, like as not a big thing, and then we found out about like R. Kelly. Graciously,
shout out.
He didn't own any P. Diddy albums. I think I had one. Yeah, I had the Godzilla soundtrack too. He was on that one.
Dude, Green Day's Brain Stew was on the Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
I only know that because my
terrible movie, great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
And that was the one. It was like the Led Zeppelin, like pastiche, whatever, where it's like Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
Before he was Diddy. It was like Puff Daddy, Sean Combs.
Soundtracks used to be beast mode, man. Dude, it used to be great. Spider-Man.
How many white people got into this music from Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Don't lie. Like, come on.
Oh, that's just a great movie too. The Coen brothers, man, they don't miss. Like,
and it was T-Bone Burnett on production. Like,
true. Yeah. Did he play Tommy Johnson in that movie too?
He might have.
Young.
I don't know.
It was very
T-Bone Burnett was the producer. I know that. And then. Like they just had some talent on there. Like what's his name? Chris something. The blues player who played Hard Time Killing Floor Blues. I used to know that. I used to play that for my grandpa. I used to play that for a lot.
Yeah.
I had to learn most of the songs on that album at one point. Yeah. They arranged them all for like hillbilly guitar.
How long did it take you to learn all those traditional songs? Like how long would you say did it take till you felt like you had the hang of it?
So I mean like. This is the thing with my style of playing is like a lot of that was developed to play it and entertain my family. So it wasn't stuff that like I was playing in a traditional context. And it was at the same time because you're playing for your family, but I would also try to judge it up a little. Does anyone have an acoustic I could play?
And we're back to the traditional roots. We were talking about Space Jam. No, not the R. Kelly. Well, the R. Kelly. Where were we? What was it?
We did talk about soundtracks, but then you were asking me how long it took to learn the traditional songs.
That's it. Here we go.
And I was like, it's easy to demonstrate.
Like how long did it take to like kind of feel like you were getting the feel to it, like getting into the groove? You know, would you say like it was
So I feel like I never played the traditional songs the traditional way, so I never felt fully comfortable, like, you know, because you start playing traditional music, you get a lot of purists, and you don't want to like step on feet. But also, like, if you're playing it in a different style than other people are playing, it's hard to jump in a jam. And I'm not a flat picker. The guitarist in our band is a flat picker. He's amazing. What I like about the way he plays, shout out to Nate. He's the guy from Marvin Stumbles. He is Marvin Stumbles. But shout out to him because what he does is he takes an acoustic style of playing, you know, flat picking, kind of like Billy Strings does, but he does it on an electric. That's cool.
Billy Strings is fun on an electric too.
Oh I forgot. He does everything.
That's what you're talking about, Doc Watson. I'd like to see him on an electric, like now. Like how weird would that be?
Grew up on Doc Watson.
His first guitar, like professionally, was like a '50s Les Paul.
Was it really?
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. I remember at the show. It's one of the things he was talking about. I was like, and I went in, and he's like blind as a bat. And he's like, I went in there, and it's like, all I could have afford was this Les Paul. And they're like, we don't want no rock and roll players in here. Like, we did traditional music. It's like, it's fucking Doc Watson.
But that's what I like about Doc Watson is because if you really listen to Doc Watson, non-musicians listen to Doc Watson. They go, oh, yeah, he's very traditional. He's a traditionalist. He's playing traditional songs. He doesn't play them traditionally. He's never called himself a bluegrass player because he plays stylistically very different. He approaches both instruments differently than in the traditional sense. And that's why I like Doc Watson, because you can play traditional songs in a way that seems traditional, and you could just be borrowing from another tradition. One that I really like, it's often called American primitive style of playing. And
strap is in the way.
Oh, it is? Yeah. So
my fancy 550 chord strap. I just don't want it to hang over the strings for you.
Did the strap also make it through Afghanistan?
Yeah, that actually is the original strap from
I love
Southern
instruments with a
Helmet.
story. I love instruments that have a story.
That's I did that to my other guitars that I have. I just started doing that, like putting the 550 chord on instead of the strap, especially the acoustics.
Taylor, where you learned all the Taylor songs, all the Swifty songs.
You don't have to take it on and off. You can just leave it, and then it's a light enough guitar that you could have just a string.
Taylor, so I grew up on a Taylor. My dad got me a Taylor. My mom yelled at him.
Tell him about playing Lust for Life and the good old Afghanistan.
No, that was mostly in like infantry school. I play that just to piss it's like a really homoerotic, like just especially the way I would play.
You ever heard Girls' album?
Wait, Lust for Life?
Yeah, not the
Iggy Pop
Girls
one.
Girls.
I was thinking of Lush Life by Billy Strayhorn, which is a jazz standard, and it is also like queer coded.
Yeah. Well, and like the first lines in that song is like, "Oh, I wish I had a boyfriend. I wish I had a loving man in my life."
That's hilarious. That's some good.
Yeah. So
Shout out to
all the
Christopher
good
Owens
off boys
forever.
from the rural parts of the country that also joined the Marine Corps. They didn't take too kindly to.
That's hilarious.
Didn't stop me.
Good, because you're still a Marine. Nothing stops you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just a Rainbow Marine. But that's what I'd say. There ain't nothing gay in the Marine Corps. I mean, that's when I was actually in boot camp is when they gave us. We were the last boot camp class to get the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" brief.
Oh shit!
And they're like telling us at the time, it's like, yeah, we gotta still do this because it's still part of the like curriculum, whatever. But you guys are gonna be like the last ones, and like we're not doing this anymore. It's gonna change. And I was like. By then, I had already learned it's like it's already gay. Like there ain't nothing gay in the Marine Corps because it's already just super gay, and it's like whatever. You got to be a little comfortable with the touch butt. So it just is what it is.
Oh my gosh, the amount of military folk that I've talked to and drank with who are like, "Yeah, I was in a Devil's 3," and we're like, "Yeah, dude, like." I've hung out with enough military people to not be surprised by that fact.
Not me personally. I've never participated myself, but that was like one of the highlights of boot camp, or not boot camp, infantry school, right after boot camp. So you went from boot camp to infantry school. Number one, John McCain's grandson was with me, and he went AWOL because his dad was fucking his girlfriend back home. So like he had. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get sued for libel or something on this. I don't know which.
Yeah, I was about to say, we could cut out. If we could just cut out all the Marine talk from my grandma for when I send this over here, because I don't think my grandma needs to.
But no, that's what he did. It's like he like bailed because he found out like somehow. I think like he had posted it on the internet and like saw a video or something of it. But then his dad was like hooking up with his girlfriend, so he just like bailed and went home. And then it was a big problem. And then for us, it's like. You can't just leave the Marines. Like, you can't just leave and, like, not come back. Like, you're required to, like, show up. And then it's, like, it's a crime and, like the equivalent of a felony if you just leave and, like, desert.
Even if you're a McCain?
Yeah, well, that's what he got away with it because his last name happened to be McCain.
It's funny.
His daddy was a war hero, which if you haven't seen Tim Dillon's...
Wait. This is John McCain's or son McCain, or McCain's?
Grandson.
Oh, okay, I was about to say.
Grandson. He looked exactly like him, too. It was spooky.
I'll be real. If I found out an old geriatric John McCain had eyes for my woman, I have too much respect for the man.
Well, No, he was just another kid, like in another... Like, I was a 31 machine gunner, like 0331. He was just a rifleman, and he was in, like, the rifle... But sort of, like, the first half of it, we were around together. I'm not sure when exactly how far he made it before he bailed, but everybody knew him. Like he looked like John McCain's grandson. Like he had like acne instead of the wrinkles and stuff, but he just looked like. And he had the short hair because we were in infantry school, or SOI. But then that was fun, and that happened, and everybody was just like the big salacious tea that was being spilled at SOI. But the Devil's Three-Way, that was one of the I think either a mortarman or a rifleman who's also like a reservist, but one of his buddies from boot camp who was in infantry school with him who was a 31 like me. They got he brought his wife around, which is a terrible idea. Like, don't bring your wife.
Never
when you hit the fleet, that's a different story. But like, definitely not around like boot camp or SOI or whatever. And really, don't bring her on base or anything. It's just nothing good could come from that if you're a junior Marine. But they got into a Devil's Three-Way, and he's like, it's like, come here and fuck my wife with me. And then it was like while they were going at it, like he like goes back to his wife, and his wife like pushes his face away. And it's just like, no, like just this guy. And so he spent the rest of the time in the corner crying. And then,
wow, you heard it here first on Rock Radio USA episode 2.
But then he had to come back to the rest of the like company and the rest of his like platoon and the guys that he'd work with. And
Shout
it was
out to
just
Liquid
never
Death,
was going to live
sponsor.
that down. Was always going to get, so it was just nonstop, just berating. I had no idea what happened to that kid. I went East Coast. This was all on the West Coast. And then after I was done with infantry school, there was like me and like 4 or 5 other guys. Shout out if you're watching, probably not. We all went to the East Coast after that. So it's like I started out in San Diego, finished up, like did the rest of my time in Camp Lejeune. So
could have ended up a lot gayer though, considering the stories I've heard.
Oh my god, that's just one story, man.
Oh like, yeah, right. Like it's a
we
thing
haven't even got
there.
to the fleet yet.
Dude, I was about to say like as I said, there's been so many just. It's also because like you talk to military people and they're like, you want to talk about something people don't normally talk about? I'll talk about it. I was in the military. And it's like, all right. Man,
What was the first traditional number you learned?
Oh shit, yeah, we gotta get back on top. We can clip all that, right? So one of the ones that my grandma used to sing when I was little was "You Are My Sunshine," and I learned that, but it was really boring. So then I learned we listened to "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" because we were a bunch of white people with some rural background somewhere back in the family line. And I feel like that was a moment for white people that we didn't have to feel bad about. Was "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" soundtrack. But it was "I'll Fly Away" because my older sister liked that song and she'd sing it too on the car rides out to Iowa, along with the CD. And I ended up learning it, and it was I ended up learning it kind of in my own style because I wanted to add a little bit of bass. And I was listening to a lot of Leo Cocky, and he's a very active player. Anyone Leo Cocky? Yeah, I figured. Yeah, your dad had cool music. I figured it trickled down.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a blast from the past because like I wouldn't say so much myself. It's like listening to it with him back in the day. So that's like
me too.
It's like
no, this is awesome.
Leo Cocky with my dad was like the thing for me. I am
amazing.
so glad.
I'll go back and listen to him again now because I'm thinking about it. It's like it's been a minute since I listened to him. And
everyone's gonna go back to 6 and 12 string guitar, but Dreams and all that stuff has some beautiful pedal steel on it and some really interesting use of him on an electric guitar, which is just weird. And that opened my mind up hearing him on an electric. But Yeah, it was I'll Fly Away, and I played it something like this, and I'm probably going to mess it up because I'm so excited to play it. I'm going to also usually only play it to like family. But
how about let's should we set up to
we can
actually
set up,
run
yeah.
the number through?
Yeah,
or
we
did
can.
you want to?
I mean, if this mic can pick it up, we don't have to do this so formally. I mean, I know you have a format. I don't want to mess with your format.
No, you're good. Let's hear it.
But yeah, it's
We could also plug that guitar in.
something like that.
Hell yeah.
It's been a long. This is the most embarrassing part.
We
of this.
got to get that on the mic too.
But
dude,
lower the sure if you want to play. Just if you're not going to sing, lower the mic down.
Oh, yeah,
Right up
wait.
to it.
super.
Oh yeah, I don't sing.
Super awesome.
Otherwise, we've got that's acoustical. It's got a little pickup in there, so we could plug it in too. But I think the mic would sound better.
Totally. But I would say this is probably a good time to break away and get into the music portion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Should we do it? Fucking.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for coming through. Let's do it. Rock on, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
You're gonna learn. Yeah, this is a song I wrote for my wife when I was broke and I couldn't afford a present. She still says it sucks because I didn't write any words, and I don't sing, and I still owe her apparently. But other people like it. I did want to kind of show where this style comes from because it's not my own. It does come from Leo Kaki. So I was just going to do a quick number of his. Let me see if I remember it. Actually, you listened to Leo Kaki.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. I can't play it well. I can play it flashy, but it just doesn't sound good, you know?
No worries.
Let's see if this... So this dobro's pretty beat up. This is like a $200 purchase. I really should upgrade. It rings too much. It sounds tinny. It sounds bad. But then my wife gave me this slide, and it's ceramic. And ceramic is like the worst material to make slide out of, apparently, because it doesn't resonate and it cuts your high frequencies. But when you have a really tinny, terrible dobro, I'm not sure I want to hear it ring out as much. You know, like... I'm starting to get kind of farty on this string, you know? So if I kill that, I can almost sound kind of like backyard playing, like I'm on like an old acoustic, and I kind of like that. Even though it sounds crappier, I kind of like the backyard kind of vibe I got out of this. But just to make sure we are all clear here, I am stealing a ton of techniques from Leo Kaki, his right hand work, and just putting it on other instruments.
Dude, don't call it stealing.
It's not, I mean the best music is stealing. Yeah. Yeah, these aren't going to be long pieces.
It's awesome, dude.
Damn.
Run with it! Like they should be doing shit. They could go they could go places. I don't know. I hope they do. short, but sweet. It's like a little etude. It's a warm up. And then let's the one that hurts. All right. So this one, for this one, my band likes to have me do an intro to Old Country Church, the Childers version. I believe it was originally Hank Williams, but we go to church, we want to go to church. So I like to start out with Amazing Grace on that. And so if you go see us, we play carols, we play at Pub City, we play all the big ones. Big. And then the Opry one day. But yeah, this is kind of what I play with the band. Let's see if I fuck this up after switching necks. And then if my band let me do what I wanted, I'd switch into Blackbird because I think it's funny. And then I'll actually go into Old Country Church. There's a lot of like cheating in there. Like if you want to be fancy as a steel player, just throw in some harmonics and do like a little bit of extra bends. And people will be like, "Whoa, it's great." And then I think I gotta play one more for my Nana. I got.
Yeah, shout out to Nana, fight off the terrorists.
Yeah, that wasn't Blackbird by the Beatles. Actually, that was influenced by Pete Kleinow, my favorite steel player, because he uses the pedal steel to accomplish counter melody a lot, and that's a role I have to take as counter melody in my band. So I like to look at how he plays, but he plays in a completely different tuning. So, yeah, makes it even more fun to transpose.
Makes it for use. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That was Crazy by Patsy Cline. We played that for my grandma we all got together in the basement, and we got some people who play music in the family. No, they didn't growing up, but a cousin joined in on fiddle, brother-in-law on guitar, cousin's husband on bass, and I think I gave the spoons to the little kids. Most embarrassing part of all this hillbilly stuff is I don't play spoons particularly well.
We got the spoons.
No, it's
Not something to be ashamed of. And hello and welcome back, everyone, to Rock Radio USA, episode number 2 with Garret Foster.
Howdy.
Shred City, baby. Let's go. That was awesome. That was
Appreciate
super
that.
fun.
Yeah.
To watch you play a few, of the old magical pieces too.
I appreciate that. It's funny because you invited me on here and I was like, man, I'm a musician in a band. Like I'm not even the whole band. I'm just a guy.
Yeah, I tend to do that. I just reach out to random people on the internet.
No, I enjoyed this so much, and it was also fun because that's not music I take to our gigs. That's not music. Maybe I take it to an open mic once or twice a year. But that's it's cool to have a venue to play the kind of stuff that I usually just play around the campfire or some or the woods or out stuff like that.
Super cool. What was that first number you played? Wow, that was wicked, man.
Oh, the one that I wrote for my wife.
That was
God bless it.
insane. What's that one called?
I don't know. Just called it that's Hannah's song because I wrote it for Hannah and she's my wife. But I was 22. I had no money. And I was like,
song.
I got no money, so I'm just gonna put everything into this song. And I was like, I wrote you a song. I told her, and she got all excited. And by the end of it, she goes, "You didn't sing at all." I was like, "What?" She goes, "How are people going to know it's about me if you don't say my name?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Girls are just going to hit on you if you play that." That's the opposite of what I want. I was like, okay. That's some real talk, and I appreciate that from my wife. Honesty is important, right? But also damn,
Yeah.
she's right.
That song shreds. It must have taken quite some time.
Actually,
to put
kind
that
of fell
together.
into place pretty easily.
That's-
It was, when you're in the zone and
awesome.
it just kind of works out, and you're like,
Yeah,
all right.
totally. Yeah.
And you just start adding to it over the years.
Yeah.
There's a whole second part there that didn't exist at one point. That's how it goes. And I'm gonna mess up at some point in the middle of it too. But
Yeah.
this isn't the Grand Ole Opry.
It was awesome, man.
Oh, I forgot to
Yeah.
mention that I played the Grand Ole Opry.
That's wild.
Wait, you have
Played the
And I didn't even know what it was. In high school, I backed up the show choir on bass, and they went to nationals in the Grand Ole Opry. I had no idea how big of a deal that was.
Incredible.
My grandparents came down from
Awesome,
Iowa,
man.
and I was just like, "Oh, this means something." And then I was older, and I reflected on it. I was like, "Shoot, I can't peak in high school. I got to go back. I got to go back and play the Opry again." So
You
that's
guys
my new
got
goal.
any shows coming up? Anything?
Yeah, we
The
got.
books.
Okay, let me see if I get them right. So I'm still going to pitch JJ Smith's at Artifact events, even if you get this out after the 24th. Then that means that you are seeing this after JJ Smith had his concert and you missed it, which means I'm sorry. But
Shout out. Also, if you are watching this by now, the Rock Radio USA theme song, the official theme song, is out on all streaming. So
right.
check that out.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
Oh, I should pitch my own show.
We also do have the Zukas show, or better known Zukas, the first single, The Bomber, recorded here at Rock Radio USA.
Oh, nice.
It's out now on all streaming. Check out those bops. Rock
Send
and
that
roll.
over, yeah. Oh, wasn't that tonight? Well, I'll fall asleep tonight. Man, it's late. No, for my band, I forgot when we got Broken Hearts coming up again, but I do know we're playing Carols on February 8th. Also, just people if you're looking for Zach Futter and the Long Goodbyes, hit us up on Instagram. We will tell you when the
Sweet.
shows are. And on top of that, you just look at Bub City, Carols. What's another place we play a lot? Clipper. We're there pretty often. And if you're downstate, you'll see us too. We play all over the state of Illinois. If for some reason you're in Princeton, Illinois right now and you're listening to this, or if you're in Fergatonia, that one area, if you're from there, you know what I'm referring to. If you're from the Driftless, you know what I'm referring to. If you're from anywhere in Illinois, it's beautiful. hit us up. We do travel quite a bit. We finished out the year. Actually, we played Des Moines State Fair. That was amazing. I don't want to tell too many of the band stories, but I will say that was one of the most cool moments of my life. The entire fair on the highest attendance day, it just got a storm rolled through. So everybody piled into our beer tent right before we played our 3-hour set. Even the main event. So everybody got to hear
electric.
us.
Yeah.
And it rained all over their equipment, so we were the best thing they heard. Sorry, Logan Mize, you were very
Did
polite.
anyone get
to us.
electrocuted?
No, I thought they were. There were
That's
kids
good.
playing in those puddles, and I was just like, oh, dude, what are you doing? Man, it was great. Our guitarist broke into a huge solo on the song Prairie Dog off our first album, and it's like a huge guitar solo right when the clouds parted and there's a triple rainbow. You would have sworn you were on acid in that moment. I think he was, but I wasn't. And I especially wasn't if my nan was watching.
Say no to drugs.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Well, frickin' thank you for coming through, and thanks for gracing us and blessing us with the sounds.
I appreciate that.
Really appreciate you coming through. And do you have any advice for any young artists out there, or people who maybe want to play, haven't got started yet? Any advice you'd throw their way?
I guess the big piece of advice that's carried me, well, there's a lot. But one would be, if you're getting into improvisation or composition, try to understand what you're taking from other musicians and try to be self-reflective of how much you are putting that out there in the world and how much you are, maybe, because one thing that, man, maybe this is just my thing, but if you sound like Eric Clapton, that's cool. I already have Eric Clapton at home on vinyl. No, I don't.
Shout out
my
to
dad
Eric.
does. I'll steal it from him later.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Did he die? We're just going to act like he died.
Wait, who? Eric Clapton's not dead. Is your dad
Alive.
dead?
He's alive.
Yeah, but we could treat him like he's dead. He's done some pretty fucked up stuff.
Like, Eric Clapton's son's dead. He's like jumped out of a window on accident.
That's what happens when you play catch and you
Well,
miss.
also, yeah.
Sorry, that was... Cut that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that'll
It
be the
happens.
Instagram clip.
That'll be an X only exclusive.
Shout out to the Patreon.
But yeah, if you're into improvisation, if you're into jazz, if you're into even country, like, don't borrow from just the most contemporary musicians. Look at it cross-disciplinary, look at multiple genres, and try to integrate it into your own style and be reflective about the fact that you should be able to. We idealize the idea of being able to play multiple styles, but understand for a second that you are going to end up with a distinct voice. And some people try to smooth that out, but then you wouldn't have Santana, you wouldn't have Hendrix, you wouldn't have Pete Kleinow on the pedal steel guitar. Just be reflective of your own influences to see if they're peaking out too much or not enough. That's
I love that, man. Well said. And great advice. Really could take a lot from that. Appreciate it. And thanks so much for coming through.
I appreciate having me.
And freaking.
What do you think these drones are in New England?
The drums?
The drones.
Oh, the drones?
Yeah, we got to
like
bring
New
that up.
Jersey and that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that...
Closing out the show with some.
That could be
conspiracy.
so many things, like, because drones are quite accessible nowadays. If you want to talk drones, talk to me after the show.
You know
So-
some
so
deep,
you think it's
some
China,
one or two
huh?
Oh yeah, man, I saw some shit over in Yemen. I didn't even get into that part.
Oh, dang. How long were you out there for?
Summer. What do they say in Arabic? قبل الحرب عاد الثورة. So like before the war, after the revolution.
Wow.
And I do want to send a shout out to that is one of the largest and worst humanitarian disasters that's gone underreported by Western media.
Shout out to the Houthis.
Yeah, real talk. Yeah, if you know any mosques that are stopped with direct person-to-person donations, I'd recommend reaching out to your local mosque to help that out. That
Allah
situation.
truly is Akbar.
I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep talking about this. All right.
Well, lovely, man. Great to have you on the show, and love to have you back.
Yeah, man.
Anytime, and appreciate you coming, blessing the studio with your righteous grooves.
Thank you for having me.
Till next
dude.
time, rock on.
Peace out, guys.